Welcome back to the Trifecta Airsoft Podcast. I'm your host, E-Rock. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you never miss another podcast. Also, do me a favor. Go on to whatever podcast app you listen to us on and give us a rating and review. That really helps us rank in the searches. Thank you so much. Let's get into the podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, congratulations on recent good news, right?
Right.
Thank you.
So you guys give a little background on yourselves or introduce yourself and tell us what the big news was just a couple days ago.
Why don't you start with that one?
Okay. So I'm Jessica. My call sign I go by is Powerhouse on the Airsoft field. I've been playing for about 15 years now. I started when I was 6.
Damn.
Yeah, would just walk around. My dad had to follow behind me because the gun was too big to fit in my hand.
I'm sure.
So every time I pulled the trigger, he had to take it from me to recock it. So I couldn't do it by myself.
Oh, that's funny. That was a Springer?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that's about it for me. I'm a very simple person.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so you're Jessica. You go by Powerhouse. I've been following your Instagram for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I've never had I never invited you guys on. I follow like 2,500 pages on Instagram or 2,500. So sometimes I miss.
Yeah, I was like shocked like when you sent me the message to like be on here, and I was just like, holy moly, like I just saw that. Like, I feel bad. I've actually never listened to your podcast before.
Oh, don't feel bad. I mean, it's podcast. Well, Airsoft itself, and this is something we've talked about a lot on here, is Airsoft just by itself. Like most people it's not really mainstream. Most people haven't even heard of it. Okay. And then podcasts are getting popular, but an Airsoft podcast, bro, that's why I tell people they'll come on here and they'll be nervous. I'm like, well, if it makes you feel any better, no one listens, okay? So don't worry about it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the different, players you guys have probably played with over the years that started their own YouTube channels and have over 100 videos or, like really cool looking stuff, and they don't hardly get any traction,
Yeah, it's all taken over by big names. You got, your Novrich, you got your Airsoft GI, e-bike's now starting to take over with, YouTube. I've seen a lot of their videos up in my recommended. So yeah, totally. And all these little short YouTubers that are just starting to up and come that are under like 100 subs, and I'm not even saying for me, for an example, because there's a lot of people in my area that are under 100 subs that don't put out a lot of content just because maybe they're not able to.
Yeah.
Airsoft, if you're trying to make content, you need to make sure you're on the field getting footage.
And that's hard sometimes. It's like you're so busy playing, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I totally forgot to like get content.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had it all set up. I forgot to hit on or record.
Exactly. I mess that up all the time.
Yep.
But so a little backstory on you, a little backstory on me. My name's Austin. I go by AJ or Wolf on the field.
Okay.
And I actually started Cloud9 Adventure and Cloud9 Airsoft before I met Jess. And
now, what is Cloud9 Adventure? That's a cool poster you got there in the back.
So, when I started Cloud9 Airsoft, in my mind, a little background on that. I love action sports as a whole, and not just Airsoft in general. I'm a skateboarder. I've been an avid skateboarder for 18 years next month. Ever since I was 6. I'm 24 now. And I've been skating since I was 6. So, her playing Airsoft at 6, I've been skateboarding since I was 6, and then when I turned 10, that's when I started getting into toy guns and Airsoft and paintball and stuff like that. So then my brain kind of turned on to action sports as a whole, because as a whole, action sports isn't really that much, people or community invested, right?
Right.
Have fun, and it's like, whatever, I'll do it, next weekend or something like that. But for certain people, it's a lifestyle. It's like every day they want to go out and do these adrenaline rushing, just blood pumping activities. So that's where Cloud9 Adventure comes in. The whole premise is to try and start a decently sized indoor airsoft and skate park which would be an all-wheel friendly skate park facility. This comes from one of my buddies that passed away a few years ago with a brain tumor. Started a facility. I'm originally from Wisconsin, and I moved out to Oregon 2 years ago. And during that time, I worked at a facility that was a nonprofit organization for the skateboarding community, and it was an all-wheel friendly facility. And I worked with the owners, I've worked with the managers, I've worked there myself behind the counter, and just loved the support it brought. And it was all community-driven, nonprofit, so it was mainly based for kids, you know, in tight situations that need safe places and safe spaces to go. And then my brain took to Airsoft, because you see a lot of toxicness. You see a lot of it. So I'm like, how can I incorporate that mindset into Airsoft? So Cloud Adventure was born.
Awesome, man. Well, you know, and that's the thing, Jessica, when you said, you know, you're like, oh, I never listened to this podcast. Look, this isn't about, I love having people on here that don't have a big following on Instagram, but they're doing a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? They're very involved in a lot of different things. And I love meeting people like that, because I love hearing their story, just like yours, Austin, with, you know, how all that came about. And that's exactly what this podcast is about. It's about promoting the good, right? Because when there's a human connection, like when you put a face to somebody's name, like or Instagram page, and you start hearing about their story, and you make that connection. I feel like, and this is the goal anyway with this podcast, is to spread that positivity to where it catches on, and everyone's like, okay. So then there's the majority of, and I think there is, the majority are positive, right? The majority of things that happen in Airsoft are positive. The problem is the bad stuff that does happen gets way more attention. Exactly. And gets, so it's almost hard to, it's really difficult for new people, especially if they're young and their parents see some videos. It's hard for them to go, oh, well, no, Airsoft as a whole is good, because they just see this, 3 or 4 or 5 videos of cheater videos and fights and all this kind of stuff. And they might even see it at their home field, like an indoor field. Yep. And, there's definitely a way to fix that. It's not completely. I mean, not completely. We're dealing with people, so you're going to have, and not only that, but it's some of the younger, I mean, I remember when I was a teenager, man, my hormones are going crazy. Like, I got in a lot of fights growing up, okay?
I was a stubborn kid, so I totally understand that.
Right. Yeah, man. So it's, but yeah, this is...
Fixing the majority of population. That's the main goal. And once you fix the majority, then that little piece of toxicness is just going to get washed away.
It washes away, man. Yeah, and I think the majority of people that will come in, once those younger, the teenagers that come in, they're brand new, once they start seeing and getting around people like yourself, you guys, where they can look up, you guys are role models, okay? And they look up and go, oh, okay, this is good behavior. That's not. So don't do things just for clicks and views. Like, have some character and principles involved, and maybe slowly it'll start changing some of that behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
That's always the goal. This all comes from me growing up in it too. I mean, we've all grown up in it. And granted, I didn't grow up as financially invested in hobbies. So, I was out there with the lowest end guns on the field, but I would go out there and I'd put in the work. And everybody would get mad. And they're sitting there with their $1,000 guns. And that's when HPA was like starting to get into it. I'm talking like 2014, 2013, when HPA was just peaking, and like DSGs were getting built and stuff like that. So that's when everybody was like, oh, I got the best setup in the game. I could shoot 30 rounds a second. I'm like, I'm coming in with a little spring shotgun and I hit you from 50 feet. And like, oh, I'm sorry. You spent all that money for no reason.
Well, I think a lot of people think that, especially if they're fairly new, they think that your gear outweighs skill. Exactly. And most of the time it doesn't. Now, it can. If, let's say you're, distance wise, you're shooting farther or straighter. But most of the time it doesn't, because the first, our channel started, we were doing mystery boxes, unboxings and reviews. And then we started getting into the gameplay. So we were talking about earlier how it's kind of difficult to get. So the first we got all these different GoPros. We got, some cheaper action cams that were like, because GoPros were expensive. This is 4 years ago we started a channel. And I'm like, all right, make sure everything's set up before you guys go to a milsim. These are my two sons and their friend. All right, take all this stuff. We had a pistol case that we cleared out and put the foam in, just to hold all the camera stuff and charge batteries and all this kind of stuff. So they come back and nobody remembered to turn their cameras on. They had them all set up. Like we spent all week before that weekend. So they give me the cards and they're like, well, the only thing we have is from our phone, because they would do like B-roll stuff, like on the way there, on the way back kind of shit. And if whatever they went out to eat and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, okay. So we went through all these, and then they did remember to turn on, but then they forget in mid-game to check the battery. So the battery lasts like an hour, whatever, and and they're like, I got this really good shot, right? I'm going to show you, and so they're in here while I'm loading all these videos in the editor, and they're like, okay, it's coming up. And then the video ends. And they're like, oh, it was such a good, it was like the only action shot they got, but the battery died. So it is a struggle, man. You got to get into the habit of, it takes some discipline and work to get all that gameplay stuff and to get the good stuff. But, yeah, so we started out doing that, and we saw how difficult it was to get gameplay, and we're like, oh man, let's just do unboxings, okay? So, and then they all got busy, and I started talking with people on here, and that's how the podcast came up. But
Nice.
yeah, hell yeah. And I saw. So, how did you guys meet?
You want to explain, or should I?
I'm not here.
Should we rock, paper, scissors?
Mm-hmm.
So we met out at a airsoft event. Every airsofters dream, of course, meeting a woman out at an airsoft field. That's also an
For sure.
I was a part of a airsoft team called the Forged in the Pacific Northwest, and we went out to Action Acres for Cartel Wars, and it was a 2-day event, overnight camping, stuff like that. And was it your first event?
It was my first. It was my first big event, like with a night game. It was my very first night game to ever play. Because back then I was living at my family's house and I had a curfew.
Sure.
So playing night games was really hard.
That means you got a good dad, okay?
Yeah. It was more like my mom just wouldn't sleep if any of her kids were out.
Uh-huh.
Late at night. She's like, I won't sleep until you come home, so don't be out late.
I hear you.
But, yeah, so it was my first big event where you had to, like, make sure you're carrying a bunch of stuff on the field. Like, there were a lot of requirements, so yeah, that was my first.
Not as big as, like, Milsim West stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was more pickup game style. Like, if you had it, you had it. If you didn't, you didn't. It didn't really matter.
Yeah. But it was like they really, like, they required you to carry water on the field.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that was really new for me because usually I would just drink coffee and then drink coffee in the morning and then I'd be fine for the rest of the day. And they're like, no, you have to carry water on the field. And I'm like, oh, shoot, that means I have to figure out how to do that.
But yeah, that was the first day we met, and then she actually texted me a day or two.
That's
I don't tell them about the cookies.
Okay. No. Okay, so
Cookies.
we met through chocolate chip cookies. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's epic.
I know.
That's the best way to meet, okay?
Exactly.
Airsoft and chocolate chip
So I
cookies.
made this giant batch of my family's favorite, like their famous chocolate chip cookies.
Awesome.
And I was wandering around the parking lot handing them out to people, being like, hey, dude, like, guys, I made a ton of these. Take them if you want.
Edibles, come on, get them.
Some dude asked, like, he's like, is there weed in them? I thought he said wheat, like wheat flour.
Oh, right.
Here's me thinking like he is like allergic to gluten or whatever.
Yep.
I said yes.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And then the word got out, baby. The word got out.
Well, so he was like, and then he was like, yes, I'm gonna take these, and I was like,
Yeah.
Wait, like, is gluten a problem or is it not? And he's like, no, weed.
Yeah, because
Like
I thought they were edibles.
Like marijuana. And I'm like, oh, no. Oh. But yeah, so that's how we met Chocolates for Cookies. And then when we, like, actually started talking was when he cracked a short joke, because I'm short, and I almost kicked him. So that was my very first, like, actual interaction, was me almost kicking him in the shin because he cracked a short joke.
That's awesome. I mean, that's, this is a classic, like, elementary school little kids are out there and the boys tease the girls because they like them, like, and they're too nervous to actually talk to them normal, okay? That's life, man. Hell yeah.
I was blushing as soon as I saw her. I'm like,
oh my God,
I'm never going to find one like that ever again. I need to go make sure that it's locked down quick.
There you go.
But then, who messaged who first?
Yeah, so it was nonchalant. I didn't want to go straight on the first day, like, hey, do you want to go hang out? So I was like, hey, let's, talk or whatever. She texted me a couple days after of asking for apartment advice for one of her friends.
Yep, I had a friend looking to move to where we are right now, to Portland, and I was like, oh, well, I know that he's in Portland, so I'll just text him.
So,
right.
Back and forth goes through, and I'm just slowly trying to throw in a little bit of a pickup line here and there, and trying to shoot my shot a little bit. And she's oblivious. She doesn't understand what I'm saying. She doesn't understand what's going on.
I am oblivious. I don't understand how to flirt. I don't catch on when other people are flirting with me. And people will, like, be like, girl, like, do you not see that? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's really hard to flirt through text anyway, unless you're, like, actually straightforward.
Mindset. You got to be in this mentality, or it just doesn't work. So, totally. And then I just was blown out and honest, and I was like, I really like you. So
I do remember the very first time he said something that I was like, wait a minute, is he interested? Was when I confessed to eating a whole Ben & Jerry's ice cream by myself in one sitting. And he said...
wifey material.
He was like, that's wifey material right there. And I was like...
and then she added on how she could kill a whole pizza by herself. And that just added to it. I'm just like, please, give me more. Give me more. Can you, like, a couple burgers and maybe a rack of ribs or something? Because I like a girl that eats too sometimes. I like eating.
For sure, man.
But yeah, it was a great experience, and it's been a year now.
Yep.
Okay.
Time flew.
It was a year in June.
So what was your first official date after you guys said, okay, well, this is it?
We went out to Oaks Park, which is a amusement park that has very nice amusement rides and just, like, on the beach and stuff like that. So we had a very romantic amusement park date.
He took me to Olive Garden for my first time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was amusement park, then dinner, and then
we just sat in the parking lot, honestly. Like, literally on the ground in the parking lot.
The parents...
talking.
The parents didn't feel comfortable with her and me alone at my apartment, because I was living in my own apartment at the time.
Sure, yeah.
So they were comfortable about it, so I just, try to do anything to make it work. So, yeah, I took a lot of sacrifices, and it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, man, there is. And that's cool. I mean, that's, shout out to your parents for sure. And shout out to you, Austin, for, you were already, on your feet at a young age, taking care of yourself. Like, that's kind of rare now, to be honest. Yeah. So
I started at 19 years old.
Yeah.
Yep. I was living on 2 years on my own in Wisconsin before I moved out here. And I literally just packed my car up. I had a 1999 Oldsmobile Cutlass. In fact, whatever I could throw in there that I wanted to keep with me, everything else was at my mom's house, and I drove 2,100 miles over to Oregon.
Bro, what made you, how'd you go to, just picked Oregon? Like, okay, I want to go there.
I had friends here originally. A couple of older, so I hang out with a lot older crowd, and I'm talking mid-20s, early 30s. And that basically gave me the head on my shoulders to be more mature than the original 18, 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And my mindset was just like, how can I minimize the child things, but by still being a child, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, I need to be an adult, but I still need to have fun. So how can I have a balance? And one of my buddies was, he works in a farm in the cannabis industry. And he was like, hey, man, we need trimmers. and I just turned 21, so I took there's a test for your OLCC, your liquor control permit, and it was 30 questions online, $100. I did it while I was in Wisconsin. License came in, drove out to Oregon, and I started working in the weed industry. So just saying, hey man, we need help. Do you want to come out here? You know you'll love it out here. You'll skate for days because the skateboarding community is amazing. And yeah, it was. So I
that's awesome.
Like, I'm done being on my butt. I want to go do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big step.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, just so you guys know too that I don't have any rules on this podcast, so if you want to smoke on here, you can smoke. You want to, vape, whatever, like everything.
Over here.
No, I have zero rules. We can talk about whatever, use any kind of language, smoke. I don't know if you follow Ruby the Great on Instagram. So he's real big in the community. Been in Airsoft for a long time. I had him on a couple times, and every time I have him, he's always smoking. So he lights up a blunt, he's like, can I do it? I'm like, yeah, man, I don't give a shit. Okay. So
I'm glad. Thank you for that.
It's very common. No, this is supposed to be, I don't care so much about the, I don't really like self-censoring, to be honest. Like, as far as the, videos go.
You like freedom?
Yeah, I like freedom. Yeah, I want people to be themselves. And I have a hard time not being myself. Like, I'm very honest and genuine. So I talk that way. And for me to follow a format or a script or like, I can't say this word. Like one of the guys I had on a long time ago, he was so funny. He said he didn't know what, how we could talk on here. And he goes, and he was a military veteran and I am as well. So we were talking about, some of like the 22 a day kind of thing or whatever. And he said, yeah, man, when they unalive themselves, and I go, wait, what? What is that? And he goes, and he has a YouTube channel as well. So he was kind of like he didn't want to say suicide. And I was like, or kill themselves. And I go, what is unalive? Like, I mean, I understand what the word means, but what are you talking about? He's like, because we can't say like this. And I was like, oh, no, you can say it on here, bro. He's like, oh, okay. I don't care. I want people to be themselves, man. Okay.
And that's why I like Discord, too, because you know how Facebook changed their monetization, Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah.
Everywhere started to be monetized, even Twitch now. Like
that's what I heard.
And stuff like that. So the monetization is really hard. But
are you did you start a Kick? Did you go to Kick?
No, actually, I haven't.
So a couple guys I was talking with last week said the same thing. They stream, and they said, no, you got to start a Kick channel. I was like, what is Kick? So I had a Twitch channel I've never really used it, but
right.
He's like, but I don't want to support something that, so I canceled my Twitch thing, and I went over and we both started a Kick channels, like while we weren't actually doing a podcast, we were just bullshitting. Right. So we had him on, on speakerphone, and we're all like setting up a Kick account. And I was like, oh my gosh, so that's not brand new because there's a lot of people on here. But I guess a lot of big like Twitchers have gone to that because of the rule change or whatever recently.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That makes sense though, because I've seen a lot of change in the Twitch community. Because you've seen a lot of like FaZe members. Because I'm big into Call of Duty, so there's a lot of FaZe, Optic, and stuff like that. But Kick, huh?
Yeah, check it out.
Is that so I don't stream on PC, so I stream off my Xbox. Is that able to, I don't know if you know that or not.
I don't know that actually. I played Xbox for a year. Let's look it up. Let's find out so we can tell everybody. Xbox on Kick.
But yeah, I actually, so the reason with the whole smoking thing is I grew up with a disability. I'm bipolar, and that's actually where Airsoft comes in to kind of keep me on that even
level that out.
Amped up, yeah, right. But yeah, no.
You can just pretend kill people, okay? Not like beat them up.
Exactly. I say you can go out and shoot people and not get a murder charge.
That's right. As long as they call their hit, little bastards.
This is true.
It was a weird weekend. A lot of back and forth on people being cheaters and people not being cheaters.
Yeah.
And it's usual Airsoft, but I think it's... Huh? Oh, yeah, I suppose. So there is the proposal happened at a 3-day Airsoft event called Summer Slaughter. And it is ran by a group called Spec Det. and they do it. This is their 13th year, and it's over at Sniper's Den Paintball Park in St. Paul, Oregon.
Okay.
And it's about 20 so acres. It's on a hazelnut orchard.
Oh wow.
Walnut orchard.
Okay.
So there's a lot of nuts in the nut group.
Right.
Yeah, so walnut orchard, and I think there's some apple trees. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, it's a lot of hills. They got a really nice like town set up, but they do a lot of paintball and airsoft, and that's actually I don't know if you're familiar in the paintball world, but there's a game called Super Game, and it's one of the largest paintball games in the Pacific Northwest on over like 600 plus players. Last year, I think they capped at 1,000.
Holy no! Huh? I played paintball after the military for like 6 years.
Okay.
And then I haven't. Yeah. So it's been a while. I learned all this stuff about these different things, like what you're talking about, on here because I've had some paintballers on as well.
Sweet. Yeah, I was both in the airsoft and paintball world. I actually played paintball before airsoft, just because my mom funded it, and I knew a bunch of people. I ran with a group in Wisconsin called the FNGs. It was a group on Facebook, but the paintball knuckleheads, they called them. And they were a really nice group of guys. They literally hooked me up with everything, like fancy $600 axe, pros and stuff like that. And I'd go out, shoot 2 cases a day, and it was a fun sport, but too expensive.
I was going to say that's expensive.
Yeah, I played tournament speedball, so really fast games.
Yep.
And then eventually, when I started getting older, airsoft came in. I'm like, all right, I'm paying for my own stuff now. I could shoot 5,000 rounds for $20 rather than 500 for $20.
Yep.
So, but yeah, they played a lot. I went out to a couple games. If you're out in the East Coast, you probably heard of Giant Big Game, GBG.
No, I don't think so.
Over in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Flat action. They do. It's another big game over 500 plus players.
Holy, dude, this is cool. I'll have to look that up.
There's a lot of things out there, and it's weird because I never knew about all the stuff on the West Coast until I came out here. So I knew about like Living Legends, Giant Big Game, and those are like the only main two. And then like PBX was a thing out in Illinois when they started making.
I have heard of that.
Yeah, so that's where they hold Living Legends.
Okay.
PBX. And I've always wanted to get up there, but $80 a case, can't do that.
Dude, I was it was just a couple months ago. I had somebody on here that is more into paintball right now than airsoft, because they've been doing it, like they haven't really fully, gone over to airsoft all the way. So they're doing both, but he has like way more friends in paintball, and they do all the mag-fed stuff. So he was the first one telling me about mag-fed, and he showed me like one of his guns, and they're called first strike rounds. So instead of balls, they have the fins on the back. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I got shot right in the nards. First strike. Luckily,
my God.
And so it wasn't black and blue after, but I'll tell you what, I was definitely sitting on the ground for a couple seconds.
Oh, man.
No, I will not try paintball.
They have distance.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends use MagFed too, and my buddy had an SR-25 that shot first strikes, and it was a big sniper rifle, and he could shoot over 150 yards with a paintball.
That's
really,
crazy, bro.
Just arcing, and all you hear was...
Yeah.
And yeah, as soon as that cracked, it left some bruises.
Oh, for sure. Those things have weight behind them. We always talk about that on here. Like when I first started having people on, we'd always joke around, because most people I've talked with have, started out in paintball,
right? And
then they go to airsoft. So I'm like, all right, so what do you think hurts worse? And most people will say paintball hurts worse, but it's a different kind of hurt. It depends on where you get shot. Like the finger shots for airsoft, bro.
Yeah.
Like at the base of your fingernail,
Yeah. Actually,
I
got a scar right on my tip of my finger right here.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram, and I saw how you were as I'm scrolling down your the skateboarding stuff and all that kind of thing. I was like, okay, this is cool, man.
Yeah, I didn't start doing the airsoft side until I moved out here, because I didn't have a GoPro back then. I literally started the YouTube a year ago and posting more airsoft onto my Instagram. I was a big, just more skateboarder at the time.
Yeah.
Until 2 months ago, I actually had a 170-pound beer keg fall on my right foot, and I have a chip fracture and a bone bruise in my right foot right now. So it's kind of hard to actually get out to everything. So last weekend, I put myself through the ringer. I made sure I played some airsoft, so I maybe got about 30 minutes in 2 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so this last weekend when we went to Summer Slaughter, this is like a huge thing for us. It's a once a year event, and I like to see it as like an airsoft festival. Because it's like, there's so many people out there camping, there's a bunch of booths set up so you can go and buy stuff and sell stuff, and like, it's just so much fun. Like, and so, where the heck was I going with this?
It's fun. It's fun.
I'm like slightly ADHD, so my brain is...
Oh, you're fine, hon. You're doing great.
But like, play-wise, I didn't play until Saturday night. We were there like most of the day Friday, and then I didn't play all day Saturday, and then just played about 20 minutes in the night game on Saturday night, and then didn't play Sunday.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know, it's just like this weekend I was like, I want to be in like the airsoft environment, but I just don't want to go. Okay, well, you know what?
It was a community thing.
I got heat stroke last year.
Yeah. I don't know why you got heat stroke when you're drinking. You're really hydrating with coffee. That's great.
I keep saying that. See, even worse. Right?
This is why they have those rules, okay, Jessica?
Yeah. You remember why we need to drink water in the first place, okay?
Yeah.
So,
but like the hills, the field,
they're steep.
Okay.
They're like, yeah, they're pretty steep.
There was that worst one. So it's like when you're going up to the field, it's a little bit of a hill, but last year it was so hot that it was like, I already was getting over bronchitis.
Oh, shit. That's rough.
So getting up the hill kind of killed me, just to get to the entrance of the field.
Yeah.
And then the game that I played, our team's spawn point was like through the field, and then you went down this ravine, and then you had to get across a creek, and then there was your spawn point. And then to get back to the actual where they're playing,
it's a big field.
You had to come back up that hill.
Oh my God.
And I literally was halfway up that hill, and I was like, I need someone to drag me out. Like, I was crawling, I couldn't do it. And then I went back to our campsite, and I was just like, I'm not okay. I am not okay. So that's probably why I didn't really play a whole lot this last one, because I was just like,
Bronchitis is no joke, though, man. That's rough. You probably weren't fully healed up, to be honest.
Oh, no. Like, I already have asthma. Mixed bronchitis with that, and then heat, having nothing in my system besides a rock star.
Oof.
It was...
See, now you understand why these milsims make rules for y'all, because most airsofters are gamers, so they're like, what? I can go like 24 hours, bro. Okay, I've been streaming on Twitch, and they're sitting here drinking all these energy drinks, and I feel fine. Yeah, because you're not rucking 50 pounds on your back in 90-degree weather. Like, dude.
Yeah,
definitely.
So that was fun. I now have one of the guys we play with. Every single time he sees me, he goes, "Hey Jess, you want a rock star?" And I've actually been off of rock stars since September of last year. I have not had a rock star since then. He made me. So.
Good for you, man. Yeah, that's good.
No, I'm proud of her. But also, big appreciation for her, because she was killing it at the booth this weekend. While I was sitting at camp trying to make sure everything's situated and ready, and making the gameplay and stuff like that. She was holding down the fort and making some money. We were actually raising some money for one of our friends in the airsoft community. She's battling type 2 breast cancer, stage 2 breast cancer.
Dude. Yeah.
So we raised up a couple $100 for her, and it was a great weekend. So,
good. So you guys had your own booth or whatever?
Yeah. We had the banner up. I gave out some stickers. We made some tiny little stickers, like quarter-size stickers.
Yep.
They're like
dime size.
Same size.
Yeah.
That was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's great because those. I wish airsofters would kind of start getting into stickers or like metal pins instead of patches, Patches are great, but they're way too expensive compared to like we used to have so many different stickers and pins, same size, like you're talking about. And they had a deal on these metal pins, where you just pin them on, like you could put them on. I gave them away in different giveaways, and people would put them on their gear, like on their shoulder strap or their, one of their backpacks or something like that. Yeah, gun bag. So I was like, these are a dime a dozen, bro. Patches are, like, because you got to order like 100 or so typically, and it's like $200 to $300 or $400, so depending on what you're getting. So I'm like, we need to start telling all these airsofters, okay, let's get into stickers and pins, okay?
Yeah. And it's also,
I like stickers because you do whatever you want with them.
Because like when you have
right,
it's like you're a lot more limited to where you can put it. So like he has a wall, but like it's full now, and we're like, we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I've started putting them on the ceiling of my car. So it's like I have room because they'll stay there, but it's like on your gear, you really only have Velcro. Like if you have a
right.
Help me out.
But then, well,
like plate carriers have like the biggest, surface area, but a lot of people don't want to wear a plate carrier, because it's heavy. So you want to wear a chest rig, which is way, lighter and more compact. It's easier to just, put on, and but there's hardly any Velcro space on it.
Exactly.
Right. I also see too. Now this is just from my perspective, because like I don't even like to run patches that much. So like you see, like I would love to wear my own branded patches or some cool designs and crazy colors. But if I'm trying to be stealthy and you know what I mean, that little piece of color could stick out, and all of a sudden the whole silhouette's gone.
Yep.
So sometimes people don't even want to wear patches. So you got to think, what can we do to say change, like you said, like stickers and stuff like that. So that way there's not so much brightness, because like the way you wear patches, you do it on your front or on your back, or like on your arms.
That's just a target right there.
Right.
Exactly. So you're first going to see that. So it's like, can we do something maybe like, what about gun charms? Because I know some people are doing that. Gun charms.
Dude. Cool. Yeah, those are cool. I remember one of the first games that came out with that. It was this is years ago. Everyone thinks Call of Duty invented it, but they didn't. It was I think it was called Kill House or something like that. It never really. It didn't take off. Like, it wasn't popular.
I want to say Killzone. If you're
maybe Killzone,
school, like PlayStation 2, old school.
Maybe Killzone.
Because
they had the little. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Killzone, I think was it.
Oh, you remember? So
that was a good game, but it didn't take off.
Right, and also Mag was a big. It was only on multiplayer, and it was only on PlayStation exclusive. It was when the PlayStation 3 came out, and I worked at GameStop for a few years, so I ran one of the GameStops from 2007 to 2010. So I saw, GTA 4 come out. We had midnight release for that. I saw, PlayStation 3 and, all that stuff come out. And World of Warcraft, if anyone was into that, the Wrath of the Lich King, I think, came out when I was there. Okay, that was a big, huge release. So we had...
came out too?
What's that?
What about League of Legends?
Yeah, League of Legends.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, big stuff. This is back when GameStop actually carried... a lot of our stores still carried the card games, like Maple Story, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, shit like that. Some of the bigger ones and some of the off, But I think there was one called Mag, and it was I think there was a couple games that started having like little charms that you could upgrade or whatever. Totally. It was fun. But yeah, that would be cool to have on your guys' guns,
right?
Unless they're bright.
Totally. Well, and I even like how I want to say house gamers came up with the gun skins. I want to say it was house. And you can make them for like your sniper rifles, your L96s and stuff like that. We need to do more stuff like that, because I know people have been getting into paint jobs.
Yep.
But since Cricut is such an awesome machine,
exactly.
Oh man, it's so easy. We need to come up with something advanced to then like literally take spray paint, all your cool camos. Actually, I actually got this weekend.
Yeah, I see your background here. What you got?
I got this. I picked up. I traded and got some cash for. It's a Titman,
Dude.
a classic Titman CO2, and it came with the HPA tank and rig. But I love the camo to it.
I do too.
But
It's like honeycomb almost, or digital. Uh-huh.
But I think that the person who made this was very symmetrical and perfect with the lines. But this actually has a story. So a dude from that had to move to Montana, one of his buddies picked this up from him, and it came with the tank line, and the gun itself.
Nice.
So appreciate Brent for hooking us up with that one.
Yeah, it's a beautiful paint job.
Oh yeah, he was the only person to actually donate for our cancer fund. So yeah, that was amazing. So if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have gotten that far.
Yeah.
That was the start of it.
Now what was so was it last weekend? When did you propose to her?
Saturday afternoon, but like 6 o'clock, right at sunset. So there wasn't a lot of people around the booths. Some of the booths were leaving, but the people that were there, I just went right into the middle of everything, and I had my buddy. So I set this up perfectly without her even knowing. I nonchalanted it perfectly. And we go. She's like, "Can we go to Flying J, which is a gas station truck stop?" And
right.
He's like, "Let's go to Flying J." And I'm like, "All right, let's. I want to stop and see some people real quick." So I went and talked to one of our buddies. His name is Lang, and he takes photos, and he's also a very amazing airsofter. He runs his own games and stuff like that. And he first told me, because I told him the Saturday morning, I'm like, "I'm gonna propose." Like I'm already planning. I told a couple people around the campsite, so it was a hush thing. People knew.
Everyone knew but me, and I was so excited to go tell people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we already knew it." I'm like,
"That's how it's supposed to be."
Anyways,
but so I asked him. We will go over to his camp, and I'm just trying to say a couple words at a time without her trying to understand what I'm saying, because she's right next to me.
I really heard nothing. He just turned his back to me and was talking to me really quietly. I thought he was talking about something totally different, and I was like, okay, I'll let them have their space.
All I said was, we're gonna go to Flying J. Go to meet us by the booths. And I winked I winked at him, and he smiled. So we go get in the car and just walking around. We drive out, and I pass Lang again. And he's by the truck, and I'm like, "Hey, man, when we come back, we'll be back in a little bit. I'll get some pictures with you." And I give him another wink. We drive out. Yeah. We come back, and everything's going good. We make our way to the booth area, and some of the guys are talking. She's trying to listen to the conversation. I'm sitting here behind her, and I got cargo shorts on, these camo cargo shorts with a bunch of pockets, right? So I go in my tiny little pocket where I had the ring sitting in for 3 days.
Whoa!
Yeah, I had it in my pants for 3 days, and she did not even realize it. So slowly just trying to un-Velcro the Velcro, pull it out, and I have it in my hand. We're just walking. We're walking back to the camp. She's in front of me, because I'm making sure she's in front of me. And then I go and hug around her, and I'm like, "Hey, so I got a question for you. And, I love you very much." And I got down on my knee, and she didn't understand what was going on. She thought it was a joke.
He kept saying, "You think you know what's going to happen? You think you know what's going to happen?" I'm like, yeah. And he's like, "Really?" And I go, "No." I think he's just fooling around, and he's down on one knee.
Yeah. And I just said, "Will you marry me?" And she took a little bit. She cried at first.
I didn't realize he actually had the ring in his hand, and then I looked down, and it's so funny, the pictures that we got. You see my face, I'm just laughing and joking, and totally okay, whatever, and then all of a sudden it's just shocked. And I literally sat on the ground in front of him and sobbed before I answered.
Her face was as red as ketchup.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I saw those pictures, and that's actually, Jessica, that's when I reached out to you. I was like, because you posted about it, of course, excited and everything, and I was like, hey, and then when I saw it, I was like, this is awesome. and I looked at our message history. I couldn't honestly. I talked to so many different people.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who I've reached out to have on the podcast. So I look at our message history, and I'm like, oh, I never invited her on. Okay, this will be. And that's when I messaged you like, hey, would you want to come on here and talk about it? Because it's cool, man. We had somebody, Mr. Off Topic, Mr. OT, is big in the airsoft community. And a lot of always traveling around and doing different airsoft events and everything. And so he recently, and I've had him on the podcast probably 10 times, okay, over the last year and a half. Well, then just 6-7 months ago, he met a girl, and she didn't do airsoft. She didn't even really know about airsoft. Yeah. But so they started hooking up. Well, when I invited them on, I was like, dude, this is cool. Why don't you guys come on and talk, Now, this is before they got engaged. Well, on the podcast, they announced their engagement.
No.
And I was like, and I was sitting here turning red. I was like, oh, shit. So, it was awesome. So when I saw your post, Jess, I thought it was really cool, have you guys on here.
Oh, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the invite.
Yeah, this is cool, man. So now, do you guys have, either of you guys have siblings, in your family, that know you play airsoft?
I have one. My sister, she's older than me. She's 31 now. It's got 3 kids. My nephews know I play airsoft, but they're the lower end of the nephews. They're ranging from 4 to 7 now.
Yeah, young, yeah.
But he's got the big family.
I have 11 siblings.
Whoa! No wonder your parents are like, okay, curfew. Hey, we got too many kids to take care. Yeah. My wife and I have 5 kids, so we have 5 and 7 years, so they're all close. So once they started getting, 2 girls and 3 boys, and once the girls started getting to that age, I'm like, I got shit on lockdown, bro. Okay,
exactly. Yep. But so I'm number 6 out of 12.
Okay.
And honestly, all but 2 of us kids have played airsoft. It started with my oldest brother. Somebody introduced him to it when I was very, very young.
Yeah.
And that's how we got a couple Springer pistols in the house. And I was about 6 about that time. And so then we were like, well, hey, we want to try this. And so that was when my dad would follow us around. And but for my older siblings, I am the only one in my whole family that has consistently played airsoft.
Okay.
Basically my whole life, and still playing it now that I'm older, because usually they'd hit their 20s and be like, it's childish, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, all 6 of my younger siblings love playing airsoft. They play it in their backyard. They live out in the country, so they've got a lot of room to do it.
Right.
But it's fun. They're starting at the very bottom, how I started with. They all got their little Springers, or we had
the blast from the past. One of our brothers got the tiny little shorty spring shotgun with the no stock.
Oh yeah.
With the feed clip in it and the clear soft gun. I'm like, that was awesome. I hear it all the time. Actually, I had to get one myself.
Okay.
This one has a stock to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Actually, I remember the very first, the fanciest gun. Oh, there it is.
Oh shit! Nice. I mean, the picture of it looks awesome. Okay, I'd buy that.
It definitely did not shoot 390 FPS.
No. You don't know how it works, bro. The way they list it is if it shoots 3 BBs and they each come out at 110 FPS, then they just multiply. Yeah, they add it up. Okay.
No, so it shoots 1 BB at a time, and I chronoed it at 270 FPS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Classic.
When I was growing up, the most fancy, we thought this was the most amazing gun ever, super cool. We had these 2 little MP5s. And they were you had to
the 4
pull the little piece back.
Oh, you was the spring ones?
If it was either spring or you could go full auto. And we thought it was the best
thing
ever.
Wild.
Yeah.
with the 4 batteries. It was the Clearsoft guns. I know what she's talking about now. It's
Yeah.
the little Clearsoft MP5 with the 4 double A's or the black. But they made clear ones too.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, somebody else told me about these battery ones. In fact, I don't know that much about Airsoft, right? So, like, when the guy, I think he was in, this guy was in the UK. Yeah, it was McGaz Actual. He goes, yeah, man, when I was a kid growing up, we had the MP5 that was, it took like AA batteries. I was like, what? They make Airsoft guns that took AA? He's like, yeah, man, this thing was great for us, when we were growing up. It was cool.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember my dad took a lot for us kids just to play Airsoft, but he would run from one end of our backyard to the other just so we could pull auto him all the way.
Shoot a moving target. That's awesome.
Yep, we just go all the way.
The shit we do for our kids, okay?
Yeah. I'm definitely learning to appreciate that more that I'm older, and I'm realizing how much my parents.
It'll really hit you when you have your own kids. If you guys ever do, it's like I didn't realize, until our kids start getting out. All of our kids are older now; they're all moved out. My youngest one's 21. She got married last year, and so we're like the curfew thing, and like wondering, like my wife was. It really took her a minute as each child moved out. It was really hard for her to kind of let that go. Like, I just need to text them and make sure they're home from work. Like if they work till 9:00 at night or something, or whatever. Like, I'm like, honey, start weaning yourself off of that. You got to let them grow up. Okay. Yeah. But it's difficult when they first moved out, especially our youngest daughter. And, my wife was like, oh, I just want to make sure, like it's, it's fine.
You love them and you make sure you want them safe.
Yeah.
You just make sure they're safe.
I mean, that's
all that matters.
It's honestly, it's the same. It's the other way around too, because what's funny is we almost brought home a dog the other day. This random dog walked into the 7-Eleven where we were, and no collar. The dude who let him in was like, I don't know whose dog this is, but he keeps trying to get in here. And so we were like, we found out later it was some homeless dude's dog right across the street.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were like, we take this dog home, and I realized that the first thought that came to my brain was, I should call and ask Mom if we can bring this dog home.
Yep.
And then I kind of stopped, and I was like, wait a second. Hold up here. Like, I don't necessarily need to do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I lived at my family's for 20 years, basically my whole life, and then I moved out last December. It was like very end of November.
Yeah.
I haven't been moved out for super long.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
Now, how were your parents? Were they okay with you moving out and everything?
It's a very big drama story, the whole me moving out.
This is the reason why we're so strong as a relationship.
Yeah. So, don't bump the mic.
I really had to take a lot of sacrifices.
Okay.
They didn't like my profession at the time.
Right.
But I still can't help it.
So
I love the industry.
Yeah.
My parents were not a fan of so my family does not approve of marijuana.
Gotcha.
That's how I grew up, seeing it as, it's bad and everything. And then when I met him, and he basically, I wouldn't say it's like he changed you changed how I saw it.
Sure.
And I was like, it honestly is a personal choice. Whether you want to breathe, if you want to do it or not. So that's what made me okay with it. I'm like, if you want to do it, that's fine. It doesn't affect us badly. My parents were not thrilled with this. And when they first met him, we had been dating for, like, officially dating for about 4 months before they actually met him in person.
Okay.
And the first time meeting them, I was very anxious. And the mother put a folder on the table, and it had documentation of some studies in like the 90s for cannabis. So it was all the back days of how weed was terrible. It destroys yourself. It destroys your way of living.
It's a gateway drug.
Exactly. I got the booklet from the mother.
Oh God.
So she had warned me before. She's like, I'm gonna ask him some pretty intense, because at first they wanted to meet with him alone.
Oh.
I was adamant.
We were like, he really wanted me there, and like I understand their reasoning, but at the same time, just I feel like our whole relationship has been very different from all of my siblings.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, you know what? No, like I'm gonna be there. I'll keep my mouth shut, but I'm gonna be there. And but yeah, she scared me when she popped down this whole freaking folder on the table, and I was like, what kind of questions did you come up with? Like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
Oh, that's wild.
It was like a bunch of like, it was all Wikipedia.
Yeah.
That she had like printed, and then like she
all the propaganda for the last like 50 years on that the government's been pushing. You know, I remember I grew up with it. So my dad smoked when I was a kid, and I started smoking when I was like 13. Now he introduced it to me, and because he wanted me to drive him around so he could smoke his bowl, because you know, I learned how to drive when I was 12. So I could drive him around, and because my mom was mad, as my sisters, I'm the middle child. I have two older sister, younger sister, and as my sisters were getting older and stuff, he would go out in the garage, which was detached, separate from the house. He would go out there and smoke. Well, then she was like, I don't want the girls to find out, so I don't want you smoking in the garage. So then he was like, well, and I was 12. He's like, you know how to drive this. Come on, let's go, because dads would, start teaching your kids how to drive. They'd sit them on your lap. You sit on their lap and you'd steer while they did the pedals until you could reach the pedals and stuff. So I was driving around the neighborhood at 12 and 13 in this giant 69 Bonneville, okay? It's a boat of a car. And he's always smoking, But so I was really used to it as far as the concept, and like not having that same kind of propaganda-driven belief about it, like, oh, it's so terrible. And of course, I went in the military after high school, and guys were like, talking about back then, like how dumb it is that it's illegal and alcohol's not, and all these different things, and all the different stats with drunk driving, accidents and stuff, and just the health-wise, how bad alcohol is for you, in your body compared to weed. And so I got introduced to it really. I never had that, like, oh, this is bad. So when my kids got older and they had friends, when they were, starting to be like teenagers and stuff, we would always let them try stuff. So, like, I never had it in the house. It wasn't really after I got out of high school, it wasn't really my drug of choice, because it really mellowed me out. And I didn't like being mellow. I was kind of angry, okay? So I like to fight, and I went in the Marine Corps for 4 years. And so I wanted stuff that, kind of jacked me up, right? Like... So, and alcohol did that. Yeah, right? We didn't have, listen, bro, I graduated high school in 1989, okay? So there was no Adderall then, okay? There was Ritalin. Ritalin was coming out.
Yep.
Similar, but no, we had, listen, in high school, we actually had real speed. So the if you see some of the old 80s, 70s, and 80s movies where tiny little white pill, right? That was speed, so methamphetamine, or amphetamine, right? And
your stuff back in the day, that was the good stuff.
That was the good stuff, buddy. Oh yeah,
I remember. So I know a thing or two.
Yeah. I never had that, so I can't. I can understand your parents, her parents being like, okay, because majority of people were sucked into that propaganda thing, from the news, that, hey, this is bad. Look how bad it is, and then it's weird that we're in 2023 and there's still that old mentality, even with all the data out that shows, otherwise.
Yeah. I also grew up very, very conservative Christian.
Yeah, same.
So that was also why it was like, it's not just the media, it was their belief, it's the devil's lettuce.
Yep.
People put it, and so they weren't able to get behind that. And they were like, we like him. We see why you like him. They're like, but we can't support his job because this was back when he was trimming. And,
which I'm glad they said that because after I switched jobs, I made double more money anyways. So
nice.
Yeah, he did end up switching jobs.
Okay.
But the whole with like,
I was sick of making low money anyways. It was
Sure.
It was the time where I was gonna get out of the industry because at the time I was in it for about a year and a half, and my monthly bills at the time were like $800. You know, and it was easy.
He had a very, very cheap apartment at that time.
Very crappy cheap apartment for Portland. So it's so expensive out here, and you're paying usually for a decent, place. Probably on the East Coast, you'd get for $600 a month. You'd get out here for like $1,200.
Wow!
Right? That's not even like updated with updated appliances, not like modern style, whatever. I mean, the place we're in right now, it's about like $1,600, and it's modern-ish enough with all appliances, dishwasher, dryer. But it's a one-bedroom apartment.
Yep.
And it's like 600 square feet.
Tiny.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's good. I like the new job.
Definitely.
Good.
Yeah. It's like that.
See you.
That sounds like
Portland. Something's going on outside.
Oh, I actually can't hear it.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
It
actually,
literally sounds like
I'm gonna check out the window real quick.
Uh-oh.
We had somebody try to bust through our gate the other day.
That's the neighbor. It's the neighbor.
Oh, okay. It's just the neighbor. But yeah, like he was at home and he texted me and he's like, I just had to yell out our window at some dude trying to pry it because we have this metal gate.
Yeah.
You have to get through the metal gate and then get through another locked door to get into the building.
He had a piece of rebar and he was trying to jam the door open, and definitely all whacked out for sure.
Yeah.
But even a few days, I think it was like a couple days prior, we had our door, the same gate kicked in from the front, pushed inside.
And it doesn't open that way.
No, the door swings out. So you can't push it in, it ain't going nowhere. They literally bent the metal that's about like a 1/4 inch thick.
We had to kick it back out just so we could get through the gate.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Great with kicking it from the other side, and it was interesting.
You gotta love Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are used to it, I'm sure now. It's
I was rowdy my whole life. I'm used to this mentality. That's why out here, I loved it out here. That's when living in Wisconsin is very clean. It's an alcohol state. Weed's illegal, so you get caught. Back then, you got caught with even a gram, you go to jail. There's there's court, but you're going right to jail. It doesn't matter what. And it's coming to the point now where it's still illegal, but you can have possession up to 28 grams. But anyways, it's a lot cleaner of a state to the point where that's the stuff that out here doesn't happen at all. I would never see anything like this. And if it would happen like this, the cops would already have them arrested and put in jail by the next day because they're so bored out there. There's nobody doing anything crazy. So if you're a criminal out in Wisconsin, I'm sorry, but you're gonna get caught.
Yeah. Whereas like here, it's like we have a 7-Eleven right down the road, and we're like, we'll go run down there for snacks or whatever. And I was down there a couple weeks ago and watched this dude pick up a couple things off the shelf and then walk out.
Oh shit!
Like another guy saw it, and we both told the cashier, and he was like, "If you can give me a description and what he took, that's great." But apparently, they can't call the cops about it until certain point. So they're basically stacking up every time, like, oh yeah, this person has been in here this many times, and if it gets to a certain number, then they can call the cops.
Oh my god.
But then he's like,
it needs to be a repeat offender for them to actually pursue it.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Cops will come, they'll talk to people and deal with homeless or people trying to bust through a gate, but they won't arrest them. I heard recently, actually I think it was last year, but they would arrest people trying to get them off the streets, only to just let them go in a different part of town again. and nothing ever happens.
Well, and especially with the homeless population being really polluted out here, they can literally get away with anything.
Yeah.
They literally, I had my window smashed on my car, the car that got me out here, right? So my Memento, loved her to death, and then one day, for no reason, nothing got stolen. Nothing got stolen. Everything was in there, and the only reason the window got smashed was because one guy thought I stole his girlfriend, and he thought that my car was the dude's car.
Oh my God.
Falsely accused for something.
And this was right when we started getting serious.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, which one of the people that she knows where I live?
Yeah, who's your old boyfriend? What's going on? What are you doing?
He's my first.
Yeah, actually.
But yeah, it was crazy. Like, we were on the phone, and he went out to his car, and he was just like,
I parked my car for
literally right down the block.
Yeah.
I was like, he was freaking out, and I'm over the phone going like, what's going on? What's going on? Like, knowing the area he's in, and I'm freaking out an hour away. And he's like, we just smashed my window, and it's like,
yeah. Well, we live kind of, we're in South Carolina, kind of like the northeast part of, or northwest part of South Carolina. And we're about an hour south of the North Carolina border, and in a town right outside a town called Greenville, South Carolina. It's one of our bigger cities. It's up here. And the street we live on, everyone has guns. Like, most people in South Carolina have guns anyway. So everyone has guns. And it's not just like when people that are kind of new to the area, like when my family comes and visits and stuff, they're like, when they hear gunshots, because people go in their backyard and shoot. We can go in our backyard right now and shoot. Like, and oh yeah. So everyone goes out there and like mag dumps their pistols, and like two doors up, these guys go out and they set up a whole like shooting range, like berm and everything with all kind of stuff they can shoot against. And we're outside of city limits, so you're allowed to shoot out here. Right. So there's no crime on this street, bro. I'm telling you. Like, everyone knows you're about to get shot.
It's a hold your ground.
Yeah, that's where I grew up in the country, and we would go out and shoot pistols and rifles, and we had a couple M4s and some shotguns, like real steel, and we just go out and shoot in the backyard, and nobody complained.
I'm pro Second Amendment. That's
absolutely.
I can't own guns. That's the sad part. So I'll stick to my airsoft. That's the only reason why I got so many collections. Yep. So
I hear you.
But
listen, guys, it's been wonderful talking with you. Congratulations on your engagement. Do you guys have a date set?
We're thinking we're gonna give it some time, but I'm thinking about next year in fall.
Okay.
Just to plan some things, and so I give it about 14 months.
Yeah.
Okay. That'd be exciting, man. I would love to have you guys on again when it gets closer to the time, or after that, or whatever.
Definitely. We can do some updates for you for sure.
Right.
And we'll definitely have to try to make a trip down, because I know we got to make a vacation and hit some states. We're trying to do a little airsoft trip, because we're trying to hit up Battle Hack.
Right. Yeah, that's up in Virginia. Yep.
One of these days.
Yeah. See, that's kind of a dream of ours as well. Me and the guys, we want to go up to Battle Hack.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not that far. It's like 6 or 7 hours for us.
Oh, okay. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And then if you guys ever make it out to South Carolina, there's so have you heard of Third Coast Airsoft? They put on events. They're kind of like event coordinator, like Milsim West. Okay.
Yeah.
So Third Coast, if you look at their if you look up on Facebook, I think they use a lot of that to put out some of their dates and everything. That's what my boys had gone to, like those events, the Third Coast Airsoft events down here in Barnwell, South Carolina at Government Training Institute, GTI.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they use it so they'll rent it out for airsoft events, the 3-day mil sims. But GTI is used for all kind of like real steel training, like SWAT teams and FBI and all kind of shit goes out there. So when you get there for the mil sims, inside the buildings and stuff, there's brass, like real steel brass everywhere.
Cool.
So it's kind of cool.
Targets and everything like that too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So if you guys ever look up some of those, Third Coast has a bunch of events that they do throughout the year, and it's one of the more popular ones, especially for somebody just like if they've never been to a milsim before. that's one of the event coordinators that's good to go to, because they only play, what they'll do is they'll have a Friday night game. If you want to play Friday night, that's a separate ticket. But the real thing goes from Saturday morning until Sunday afternoon, and they don't play through the night. So they'll do like 2.5 to 3 hours of gameplay. Then they take an hour break or 2 hour break. Then they'll play. They'll get everybody together and start doing a thing again for another couple hours, 3 hours. And they'll do that all day Saturday until nighttime. And I think they'll do the night part at like 8 p.m. to 11. And then you're done. So everyone brings their campers out there, their big RVs and stuff. Yeah. We went through, there was 700 people at the last Third Coast Airsoft event.
Wow.
And when you walk through there, you smell alcohol and weed, okay? Like everywhere. And then people are cooking out on the grill. They bring their own grills and stuff.
Nice.
And they had, let's see, I think this was in November timeframe or October or something like that. And it was, me and my son went. So we went as press pass. I just wanted to take pictures and videos and stuff. And I met up with like 8 different people, teams that I've had on the podcast. That from all these different states. So it was really awesome, because there's something about like when you meet, like we were talking on here, and then if something happened where we're able to meet up in person, like in an event, it's really cool,
Totally.
Yep.
So we did that.
I've got all my airsoft buddies down in Southern California.
Okay.
We go through Instagram and Airsoft, and it's like, we need to meet up at an event someday.
Right.
So yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, you guys will have to look into that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a list for sure. There's a lot on the agenda, and I'll make sure that's on the top of it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Tell everybody where they can find all your Airsoft stuff online.
So you can find me out at Cloud9 Airsoft, no caps, and a space between the Cloud9 and the Airsoft. It's a number 9 too. So just like the Cloud9 Adventure, and then also you can find Cloud9 Adventure on Facebook as well. And that's also a Facebook group.
Awesome.
Yeah. What's your YouTube?
Cloud9 Airsoft.
Oh, it is.
That's
Okay.
That's what I said the first one.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, forget what your YouTube.
And then you can also find my Instagram at Cloud9 Center.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a YouTube. It's very small. There's literally nothing on it, but it's Powerhouse Airsoft Chaos. That's my YouTube, and then I don't remember. I think my Instagram is just callsign Powerhouse.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Powerhouse.
Oh, speaking of, I looked up the kick thing. Not to interrupt you. So you can do kick through Xbox. Okay.
Sweet. Perfect.
I don't know how. I didn't look at the video, but it does walk you through how to set it up.
Perfect. I'm definitely gonna have to switch over here.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Jess. Yeah, you're Powerhouse on there. I think it is just Powerhouse actually when it came up.
I'm so bad
On
at
Instagram.
remembering all of my...
Well, I'm gonna have all these links in the description and everything. So
Oh, cool.
we'll and we'll I make posts about Powerhouse.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I need to
Okay.
write stuff down because people ask me, and I'm like, I don't remember my own name.
Well, we're gonna have a link to it in here, and this one will come out this Friday. Okay, so I release podcasts every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and so this one will come out pretty quick.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
Hell yeah! Thank you guys.
So much for the invite. That was really cool.
Awesome.
This is the first for me, so this is awesome.
Oh, I'm so glad, man. Really, really nice to meet you guys. You guys are great people. Congratulations on engagement.
Thanks.
A lot of cool things in your life. Yes. Awesome. All right, guys. You guys have a good night.
You
You
too. See you
too.
soon.